and welcome back to this week's episode of the Broken Kid Podcast. Now, let's be honest. What if you never read the thumbnail of this video? Would you believe me if I told you that the topic of this video, that the story we're going to be telling, is about the time I took a class with a teacher for acting, and later found out he was quite a pretty blown, perv. He was a perv. And this is quite a relatable. This is not relatable, but apparently a lot of victims can relate to this. But when this is how far cancel culture has kind of come to the degree where victims want to take over. Victims that shouldn't really be victims are coming out, taking the light of others. That being said, let me tell you this. I never knew that any of this was going on. As you could imagine, to me it's a big shock because guess what? I took a class with him. He never made any advances towards me, but I always knew he was weird. And this is where you need to trust I didn't trust my instinct because it triggered something, but it wasn't loud enough for me to be concerned. That being said, here's my next thing I have to say. He probably didn't try to make any advances on me because I also wasn't a woman, because apparently this guy was a hetero pervert. And it's quite unfortunate what he did to a lot of these people. And this is at Mesa Community College in the state of Arizona. So if you want to look it up, you can definitely look it up. And he's specifically the director of the theater department, which I don't even really know what that means because a director can do so many things. But essentially they pick who's in the movie. They do the auditions too. And they decide, yeah, you're going to be in it. We're going to light it this way. The sound is going to be done this way. The line needs to be said this way. We need to do this by this time. That's what they do. So you can imagine, I didn't know this, but apparently he gets paid a lot. And they renewed his contract a few months ago in the midst of all this drama. And anyhow, he's making $100,000. $100,000. And they kept him for a while. They kept him on, but guess what? It doesn't matter because for the longest time, what had happened is they kept him there, and now he's on administrative leave. Not just that, he's on paid administrative leave. So they're paying him to be a perv, and they're paying him to leave to not be a perv. Shouldn't the better punishment be like, hey, we're not gonna keep you here? But anyhow, somebody told me that it's because of the lack of teachers around, and maybe the prerequisite for being a teacher anywhere should be don't fucking be a perv, or don't do any of that kind of stuff. But apparently, I don't know. It's crazy. It is crazy. All the teachers are gonna know about this, and I'm sure they do. It's been out for like a few months, but it's picked up even more now in the last week and a half. That being said, if you're ever how do I say this? Back in the day, there was a period where you could tell kids to not do something, and that was it, Like you would tell a kid, don't do it. My mom kind of raised me that way, on and off, but I know it doesn't feel good to be told to knock it off. And anyhow, that's not verbal abuse. Getting told to not be stupid or getting told, hey, you need to shape it up is not necessarily verbal abuse. It can't. Criticism doesn't feel good, but they choose the words wisely. That's not verbal abuse. But anyhow, getting yelled at and being told not to be like a effing idiot, that's not verbal abuse. The reason I bring it up is because there was a student who came forward who said he was verbally abused and he was yelled at. And I understand where they are coming from about how everybody wants to get treated nicely. But let's be honest, that's not the world we live in. Like, this director was obviously a douche. He was a douche to you, but he was an asshole and a fucking perv to women. So you can't speak up, but remember, you're not the victim. And apparently, you know what else he did? He used to make students strip, like naked, for acting exercises in front of teachers. If that dude did try that shit in front of me, the whole class would be laughing as soon as I pull my pants down.